All right, welcome, welcome. I see we have some people joining us. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to give everyone about another minute to join us before we begin. Welcome and good evening. All right, welcome, welcome. Giving everyone a couple more seconds to join before we begin. Welcome, good evening. Just taking a couple more seconds for people to join. All righty, so we're actually going to get started. It looks like enough people have joined. So welcome and good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Fernandez. I'm an Associate Director of Enrollment Management in Latin School of Chicago. On behalf of the Enrollment Management team and our entire campus and community, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your evening to learn more about the Latin community. So welcome to our virtual middle school open house 2021. A little bit of how we're going to have our session play out this evening. First, you're going to hear from our wonderful head of school. He's going to give us some remarks. Next, we'll move on to a bit of an overview of the middle school, the overall philosophies, academic support. We're then going to move on into individual department overviews, so you can hear a little bit more about the curriculum offerings. And then the majority of our evening is actually going to be spent with 4 of our fabulous students. We'll be hosting a panel and a Q&A with them. And then we'll wrap up the evening with some closing remarks and also discussing more about the application process. Just as a quick heads up to everybody, the chat will be disabled until the very end of the session. However, if you have any questions throughout our session, feel free to type into the Q&A, and some members from my enrollment management team will make sure that they answer your questions throughout our session tonight. But without further ado, I'd now like to introduce and bring out our head of school, Randall Dunn. So Randall, if you'd like to turn your camera on, feel free to join.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. As Stephanie said, my name is Randall Dunn, head of school, and I would like to take some time just to say thank you to you all for being here this evening, for spending some time with us to start this relationship. And at Latin, relationships are really important to us. So I'm really thankful that you've taken some time this evening to start this relationship and to begin this journey. We know the next step for your family is a really important one. And so that you're taking some time to be here means a great deal to us. We're really excited to share all with you. I want to thank Stephanie Fernandez and Mark Copestake and Rachel Jacobson and the entire enrollment management team for their work. But I know that you are here to hear also about the middle school. I don't want to take too much time, but I do want to share some give you a sense of the school and some of the things that are happening at the school, some of the ways that we're thinking from a big picture perspective. But before I jump into some of that, I'd like to encourage you to do a couple of things. The first is to really do some research around our website. We've got some terrific resources available on the website for you to engage, learn some more about what's going on at the school, to learn a little bit about our history, where we're from, to actually join our Instagram feed and see what's happening at school on a daily basis. Really take some time to engage in that way. It's really a nice way for you to get a good sense of the middle school and of Latin school in general. The other thing I would encourage you to do is really, if you know someone from the school, if you are a friend of someone at Latin, or you know some parents or faculty, connect with folks and ask questions. because, you know, we feel that a well-informed, perspective family is the best kind of family for us, because you ask really good questions. We love those questions because we have really good answers for you. So please take some time to really look at things in that way. What I'd like to share is just comments as we emerge and begin to emerge to a more normal way of delivering a Latin education. I have to say this has been the most complicated, complex, really difficult, I would say, 18, 19 months of my professional career. And things have changed, and we have had to make choices and make decisions that like we have never done before. But in many ways, this change and needing to adjust and needing to understand our world outside of the school is not new for this school. For Latin school, it's in our DNA. For over 130 years, the school has taken the opportunity to understand what we need to do to make decisions and create programming to have the best kind of education for students to prepare them for their future. And this process for us, as we have faced issues during the pandemic, remains the same. We have asked ourselves tough questions. Three things we have done for sure is asked ourselves how we teach, what we teach, and certainly how our students learn. Because we know that those questions are impacted by our current circumstances. And so we look at how we teach. The way in which our education is delivered, we want to make it personal, we want to make it inquiry-based and experiential. And we have to take a look at the current environment to make sure that that process continues to be inclusive of all of the students. And that our faculty take a look also at what we're teaching, because as the world changes, it is really important that we begin to examine all the programming in the school. And as you take a look at the middle school program, you'll see things like where we dive into teaching kids about identity and taking a look at history, their own personal history, as well as the world's history. Their family history project, a big one in the middle school. The kind of co-curriculars that help kids to make choices about what they love and want to do and begin to define themselves. As you explore our website, as you learn more, take a look at those. We ask ourselves questions about the pertinence of the way we're educating kids in that way. And then finally, we really pushed ourselves to really understand how kids learn. One of the things the pandemic made clear, that kids need to be well, social, emotionally, they need to be engaged, and they need to be included in the work that we're doing at school. It is something that was just palpable during the pandemic, when kids were separated from our community. And so we know that social emotional learning, we know that students coming to school and feeling included and seen and known by their teachers really matter for great education. And at Latin, we spend a lot of time creating the climate and the culture for an excellent education. Those things, how we teach, what we teach, and how our students learn, and providing the kind of support comprehensively for our students will never change. How we deliver some of those might change, but for us as a school, those components are in our DNA. And we might deliver them differently, but it will never change. As we think about moving forward, we will leverage the best that we have learned from very difficult circumstances to be even stronger. And a number of things that we are looking at is looking at our spaces and how we deliver our program, because learning takes place everywhere. And whether it's looking at how we do athletics and our classrooms are set up, we're taking a look at spaces as we move forward. We continue to build community within the school, but also pay attention about how we are involved in the city and the world. Again, components of how we will progress and leverage the lessons that we've learned during the pandemic are really here with us. One of the most important things for you to take a look at is our strategic plan that's online. And take a look at our statement that we are all Latin learners. And we mean the students, we mean the faculty, we mean the parents. So I want you to think about yourselves now. This is your first occasion as a Latin learner. Think about this session this opportunity as your first occasion to be a Latin student, a Latin learner and a student. So I want to thank you and just thank you for taking the time to become a Latin learner this evening and spending some time with us. As I said before, the relationship with you means a great deal to us. And so I'm really thankful that you're here to spend some time with us. It's great seeing you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your words and your presence tonight, Randall. Next, I'm actually going to invite out our middle school director, Deb Sampy. So Deb, if you want to now show yourself, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name's Deb Sampy. I am the director of the middle school. This is my 36th year at Latin, and I've been the middle school director. I think this is my 29th year as a middle school director. So I have a lot to say about middle school. I've been at Latin and particularly in the middle school for as long as I have because I genuinely love middle school children. I love middle school teachers and I love the Latin school. So I have a short amount of time to cover a lot of things. So I'm going to talk quickly and try to just give you some highlights of the program. And I'm available if you have a quick email or a question down the road to answer more fully. So quick overview. The middle school program, Latin's middle school, actually Latin's entire school, we have a liberal arts foundation. So we are very committed to students having a broad education, creating a strong foundation. So students study English, history, social studies, math, science, language. They take PE, they take the arts. Within the arts, they take performing arts of music in terms of either band or chorus. They have visual arts, they participate in drama, they have dance. We have computer science, wellness. So you wonder, how do we pack all that into one day? It is very busy, which will kind of tee me up for the next slide. But as important as the academic program is in the middle school, so is the community time and making connections and building connections in the relationships Randall spoke of. So we also have community time built in. We have assemblies several times in our 8-day cycle. We have a snack every morning where we all take a 15-minute break and we gather. Kids can grab a teacher. We have a little bite to eat. We decompress so that we can breathe for a minute and then come back right at it to our best learning. We offer read-ins. We do service during some of our community time. Latin's middle school is departmentalized. So all classes are taught by subject matter specialists, which isn't always the case at the middle school 5th through 8th grade level, but everyone who teaches a subject in the middle school has expertise and background in that subject, as well as middle school kids, adolescent development, and our class sizes are 18 to 20. Stephanie, would you mind switching to the next slide? So as Randall spoke about the Latin learner is central and at the center of everything we do at the Latin school. And I'm speaking here specifically about the middle school learner. Certainly in our strategic plan, we think of the Latin learner as the students, but also the teachers, the parents, staff, everyone who's a part of our community. But in terms of the middle school learner at the Latin school, there are a few points that I just want to highlight that I really truly am proud of. I'm quite proud of that. I believe that we are unique and we really prepare kids, not just for their what comes next in high school or what comes next in college, but I think we prepare them for life and we begin building these skills in the middle school years. So homework, we focus on the research out of Duke by Cooper and his team. It's the largest meta-analyses of homework that's been out there, and it's what it really is the gold standard on research on homework. And it looks at, it really identifies that 10 minutes per day per grade level. So if you're a 6th grader, an hour a night, 8th grader, you're getting up to 80 to 90 minutes. Past that amount of time, there's no real return on investment. So what we try to do at Latin is the kids' school days are action packed. They are working, they are learning, they're collaborating, they are busy all day long. There is very little downtime. So when the school day ends, we want them participating in other activities, spending time with their family, finding their own recreational time. So we do not pile on homework. Homework is intentional, it's meaningful and purposeful. Generally speaking, the homework is there to create habits, help reinforce and instill strong work habits. It's there to review or practice something that was taught or to preview something that is going to be taught. Executive functions, I'm sorry this is so fast. I could spend an entire 2-hour session on this. The teachers, luckily you can't see their faces. They'd be rolling their eyes at me right now. I am a passionate believer that executive functions are the key to success in school. And there is actually research out there that strong executive functioning skills are better predictors of student success, even at the college level, than our standardized tests or grades. So this ability to manage your time, manage your materials, plan, prioritize a task, how to break a task down, how to analyze a task, keeping track in your daily planner, not just of what you have to do for homework the next day, but what you have that evening. How are you going to prepare for the next day? Oh, see, my timer went off and I'm way behind on my slides. Okay, Stephanie, I'm going to speed it up. So executive functions are really important. I'm going to just say one or two things from the last slide about self-advocacy. It's really, really important that students learn how to own their learning process. I can go into this another time in greater depth if you're curious, but self-advocacy, learning how to ask for what you need, learning how to identify people who can help you and be a resource to what you need is key at this age. Sleep is also essential, 9 to 11 hours for your middle school kids. They will be their best selves and they will be great learners if they are well rested. Okay, so go ahead and skip ahead to the next slide. In terms of, we talk a lot about the academic program. You're going to hear from the chairs of each department, but student support to create an environment where students are seen, where they're known, where they feel included and they feel heard is so important at the Latin School. And we can only do that by having a whole team of folks who are committed to the support of our students. So we have a homeroom program where they have a touch point with an advocate, an adult advocate at the start and end of every day. That's their homeroom teacher. And then we have a support team of a counselor, a dean of students, a DEI coordinators, learning resources, and nurses who are all working. We meet every 8 days to review kids and to address any needs. And staying on hyperspeed, Stephanie, I promise this is the last slide. We also believe what's so important to the development of a middle schooler is the time to explore interests and develop passions. And that's central to Latin's strategic plan and our mission. And so we have quite a number of co-curricular opportunities. I think it's one of the things that makes us very special compared to other schools. So I'm going to speed talk through this one. Academic teams from Science Olympiad to Robotics, Cyber Patriot, Math Team, Kurtamen and Quiz Bowl, affinity groups from Law, Latin Alliance for Women, Students of Color Breakfast, Alternatives Clubs and DESI, athletics from volleyball, soccer, water polo, etc. Clubs meet 3 times, or there are 3 trimesters of clubs each year, and they range from newspaper to Monday morning quarterback club, from Fibonacci math club to dodgeball, to bird watching, to Doctor Who. So there's a huge array of clubs, and those are really designed by students and by teachers together. And then finally, we're really committed to service learning and community engagement. So we have activities like we prepare meals for night ministry, Kids Supporting Kids Club, McCutcheon Tutoring, etc. So that's my hyperspeed tour of the overview of the middle school, and things will slow down now when you hear from the department chairs. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Deb, for that comprehensive overview. And as promised, we're now going to dive a little bit deeper into each individual department, and we're going to go in alphabetical order for equity's sake. So first, I'd actually like to introduce Max Melgarejo, representing our English department. So Max, if you want to show yourself now, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, I'm Max Moguero. This is my 13th year teaching, my 9th year here at Latin. And as Stephanie mentioned, I'm the middle school English chair. And just so I don't go over time, I have something prepared as well. So I'll do my best to stay within the time limit here. So a primary goal of the middle school English program is to teach and model the skills necessary for students to effectively articulate responses to literature, the world, and themselves. All of that is truly important to the Latin school program, to the middle school English program specifically, and it really prepares them for the upper school. And throughout our program, we encourage students to find books that they're passionate about and offer extensive choices for reading throughout our literature circles. In fifth grade students learn how to analyze literature for the first time, and we take a much more controlled approach to our lit circles. But in 6th grade, students can choose from one of 15 to 25 novels per unit, which is pretty remarkable. And they form dynamic literature circles within that grade. In 7th grade, we really build up their knowledge of literary terms and analysis of both fiction and nonfiction texts in order to prepare them for the critical thinking required in 8th grade. The 8th graders engage in Socratic seminars on fiction, like The House on Mango Street by Sandra Cisneros, and nonfiction texts like Isabel Wilkerson's The Warmth of Other Suns and John Lewis's March. Students are taught to read, think, and write in a careful, critical, and creative manner in English class. And weave through all of this is a focus and emphasis on the writing process in the language arts class, which is a separate class here at Latin. In language arts, students receive a writing instruction, and language arts also has a student-directed writer's workshop, which emphasizes pre-writing, organizing, drafting, editing, and revising. And students experiment with a variety of types of writing. They'll work on grammar, style, format, and mechanics throughout that writing process. And in 8th grade, students have access to the 8th grade Writing Center, where trained sophomores, juniors, and senior tutors engage writers in dialogue about writing to help students get started on a thesis, craft a draft, or polish a final draft. And that is my time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max. I'm now going to bring out Cara Sullivan to represent history and social studies.
Hi, folks. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the knowledge, the skills, and understandings that a Latin student acquires on their middle school journey. On the slide in front of you are the enduring understandings that are woven into each year of the curriculum. In terms of knowledge in our curriculum, the 5th grade starts with a foundational geography unit. We then look at the first Americans, and then towards the end of the year, we start to look at the development of the United States. The 6th grade picks up with this curriculum. They further explore the building and the growing of the United States. The 5th and 6th grade have a heavy component of gamification to encourage and to engage the students to help kind of get reps in and to deepen an extension of their own knowledge and interest in the subject. The 7th grade takes kind of a step back, reminds us that we are part of a bigger world, and they take a course on global perspectives. In the 7th grade, they're looking at push and pull factors with migration, and they tie back to those geographical reasons for migration that we talk about in the 5th grade. In 8th grade, they move into the 20th century with American studies as well as current events. This ties directly to that 5th understanding on my slide, where it talks about understanding the present requires an understanding of the past. By this point in the curriculum, we hope that our students have a solid foundation of American history, that they can really apply what they have learned to think about how their history is influencing what they believe, especially when it comes to current events, which creates for a very lively, engaged, and respectful discussions within the classroom in 8th grade. The 7th and 8th grade both have app-based projects. In the 7th grade, there's a World Cup project, as well as a Syrian refugee crisis project. And then what Mr. Dunn mentioned earlier about the family history project in the 8th grade, they also usually do an app-based project on World War II as well. As you can see, the rest of the enduring understandings are on there, and they are, like I said, woven deeply into our curriculum. And we hope that they walk away with a solid enduring understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. Next, I'd like to invite Whitney Hellenbrand to discuss languages at Latin in middle school. Oh, Whitney, you are muted.
Good grief. Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's okay.
Sorry. So hi, I'm Whitney Hellenbrand. I am the department chair of the middle school languages department, and I teach Latin. In the middle school, we offer 4 languages: Latin, Chinese, French, and Spanish. When students arrive in the middle school, they have the opportunity to choose whichever of the 4 languages they are most interested in studying. We do not assume that students have any prior knowledge of their language before coming to the middle school. In grades 5 through 8, language is a core academic class. So class meets for 6 out of every 8 cycle days, just like math or science or social studies or English. And students study the same language for all 4 years of middle school. All of our language teachers do a wonderful job making our classes comprehensible and engaging for our students. We see students engaging with many authentic resources and show their understanding through games, songs, stories, projects, videos, and all the while students are constantly practicing their language skills. Students in all of our language classes really are learning how to engage with other cultures around them. In the middle school, the modern languages, French, Spanish, and Mandarin are conducted primarily in the target language. Latin class is conducted in English, and our Latin program, the goal is for students to read authentic texts and also gain an introduction to Roman civilization. All of our modern languages also follow an oral proficiency program, which focuses primarily on speaking and listening. We use authentic texts to help students develop reading and writing comprehension skills while they are becoming proficient speakers. And our program follows the ACTFL standards for proficiency. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you, Whitney. Now I'd like to bring out Eve Bono representing our math department.
There we go. Hi, everyone. My name is Eve Bono. I am in my 23rd year here at Latin, and I teach 6th grade math and chair the middle school math department. The course offerings that you see on the screen there, in 5th grade, all students take the same math course, but as you notice in grades 6 through 8, we have 2 groupings. One of those groupings does pre-algebra in 3 semesters, and then Algebra 1 in 3 semesters. The other grouping does pre-algebra in 1 year, and then honors algebra 1 and honors algebra 2 in 7th and 8th grade. But all students complete a full course in algebra 1 before they graduate 8th grade. Both groupings provide access to take at least one AP math course in high school, provided the appropriate prerequisites are met. And then on the other side of the screen, you see kind of some bullet points regarding our math department philosophy. So I won't read over those, but I just want to add a few more comments to each of those bullet points. So problem solving is at the core of our program. From anchor tasks to leveled homework problems to problem of the week, many opportunities are given to students to hone their problem solving skills. A conscious effort is made by teachers each day to hear from as many different students in a class as possible. And all student voices are respected in the sense that we want students to feel very comfortable giving their opinion on a problem, even if it turns out to be not the correct opinion. And that kind of leads to the next bullet point about mistakes. We view them as learning opportunities. Growth mindset messaging is prevalent both inside and outside the classroom at Latin, and not just in math. Math is a subject of interconnected ideas. Nothing is taught in isolation. It's always related to the bigger picture. The teacher role is facilitator. Students are actively engaged in discovering and understanding concepts rather than passively listening to teacher instruction. And there is no such thing as a math person. We work very hard to break the myth that only certain people have the ability to do well in math. And not on the slide, because obviously didn't have a lot of room there. I just want to talk for a minute about a lot of additional math opportunities. Deb Sampy touched on some of those. Fibonacci Club in 5th grade. We have a math club that's in grades 5 through 8, 1 per grade, that is more contest prep focused. We have a problem of the week that everyone in the community can participate in. We have a monthly math contest that we participate in, and we also host our own annual math contest. This contest has been happening since 2000, with the exception of last year, of course. But typically we have 18 to 20 schools, area schools, both public and private, that come to Latin for this contest, and about close to 300 students participate. So that's a snapshot of our middle school math program.
Thank you so much, Eve. I'm now going to invite Nick Baer, who's representing performing and visual arts this evening.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nick Baer. I'm the chair of the Performing Arts Department in the middle and upper school. And it's my 19th year at Latin. So in the arts department, we view middle school as a time for students to discover their artistic interests, their passions, their talents, as Deb kind of alluded to earlier. So all students take both visual and performing arts classes and are exposed to a broad overview of the history, the theories, and techniques of each discipline. Every student in grade 5 through 7 explore arts via an applied music experience, so they get to choose between band or chorus, as well as drama, visual art, and dance. Students in 8th grade get to then choose to either continue in chorus or band, or the art cycle, with the art cycle consisting of a trimester rotation of visual arts, drama, or dance. A little more choice then in 8th grade to sort of follow some of those interests and passions that you've discovered. We feel our arts classes build student self-esteem. They provide them with I think a much needed outlet to express themselves creatively, both during the day and after the school day. It gives them a chance to find their personal voice and teaches really them how to collaborate with others. Students also learn about history, society, and culture through the lens of the arts. And most importantly, they get plenty of chances to create and perform. As you can see on the list there, the co-curricular aspect of the arts is extremely important to us, and where I think some of our best work is done. Every year there's a 5th to 6th grade play, so that's only for 5th and 6th graders, as well as a 7th and 8th grade play or musical. Every other year it's a musical. And in those shows, not only do the students star in them, of course, but they're also backstage. They're running the show in the booth. They're creating the sets and costumes and everything else. So they're really part of putting those shows on. Every semester we have both band and chorus concerts, which come out of all of the classes. Recently, we had a jazz band workshops for students who want a little bit more personal time to try a different style of music in smaller groups. And they work with our teachers as well as outside professionals. We have a gospel choir that's open to both middle school as well as the upper school and lower school and the community. So it's a chance to to sing with people from all over the community, which is really great. We also have an art club. Deb mentioned the clubs earlier, and that's another really active club for students who are interested in creating art outside of the classroom. And of course, we have many student art exhibits throughout the years. So we have gallery space throughout the middle school where students get to showcase their art. Because obviously, while we value the process and the work that goes into a lot of our classes, we understand that the chance to perform and to showcase the work that they've done is super important to our students, and so that families and their peers can see them and enjoy them. And yeah, that's the Performing and Visual Arts program in the middle school.
Thank you so much, Nick. And last but not least, we have Beth Manning representing science.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beth, and I am the middle school science chair. And so scientists in the real world, they ask big questions and they get their answers to those big questions by doing experiments and by doing research. So our science students at Latin also get to ask big questions and get their answers, sometimes by designing experiments and also sometimes by getting their information from experts like their teachers or like texts and other nonfiction readings. So you'll see that they get to learn content and the practices of scientists by studying some of the core ideas in science, in biology, in physical science, earth and space science. So you can see it's very inquiry-based and experiential, just like Randall Dunn was saying at the beginning. So some of the topics that we break down are in different grades. In 5th grade, they study matter, electricity, and plants. 6th graders study animals, cells, and environments. 7th graders study human biology, biomolecules, and perception of sound and light. And then 8th graders get to study meteorology, environmental stewardship, and space. There are other things involved in there, but those are some of the really big subjects of the year. I thought I'd also tell you about some of the favorite teacher and student projects from each grade level, because projects are a really big part. In 5th grade, we have the students build solar powered cars. In 6th grade, one of the favorites is studying animal behavior at the zoo. 7th graders get to build robot hand projects, and 8th graders do a levee project when they study extreme weather and also Hurricane Katrina. So you can see that a lot of those projects are really engineering projects. So we do incorporate a lot of engineering. So as opposed to answering questions with an experiment like a scientist does, an engineer looks at a problem and tries to solve it by building a system or a device. So our students get to do all of those things. One of our big co-curriculars in science, our big one, is Science Olympiad, and that's an interscholastic competition where we take our students to 5, sometimes 6 competitions per year on Saturdays, and they compete against other schools by building devices and learning all sorts of details and taking really hard tests on subjects from anatomy and physiology to ornithology. And this year they're studying the science of music, which is kind of exciting. So it's a great way for students who want to explore more science to get involved on a deeper level. So thanks, that's science.
Thank you so much, Beth, and to all of our department chairs who are able to come out this evening. We really appreciate it. And now, without further ado, I'm sure the moment you've all been waiting for, we're going to have our 4 amazing 8th graders join us for a student panel. So would the 4 of you now love to show your screens, unmute yourself? We're going to stop screen sharing for a bit to show you all. Hello, hello. Amazing. All right, I see Ralu. Avery, feel free to unmute yourself. Miles, Allegra, feel free to unmute yourself so everyone can see you. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I'm sure everyone is so excited to hear what you all have to say. But first, I would love for us to have some quick introductions from you 4. I'm going to have you just state your first name, your current grade, when you joined Latin, and some activities that you've been a part of. I think everyone would really love to hear. So Allegra, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hi, I am Allegra. I am in 8th grade and I am a lifer at Latin. So I've been here since junior kindergarten until 8th grade, which I'm in now. And some activities that I participate in at Latin are volleyball. And I haven't done any clubs this year because I've been busy with volleyball, but I usually do Eco Club, Knitting Club, and Doctor Who Club. And I might do the play this year, but I'm not sure about it yet.
Amazing, thank you. Next, can I have Avery introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Avery. I'm also in 8th grade and I'm also a lifer. I do Latin volleyball, robotics team. I've done Science Olympiad and I probably will this year as well. And I participated in many clubs, including math club, composition, and some sport clubs like dodgeball club.
Awesome, thank you, Avery. Next, Miles, would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, I'm Miles. I'm in 8th grade. I'm also a lifer at Latin, and I do a lot of different things. I started my own wildlife club. I do soccer, and I participate in student government. I attend student government meetings.
Awesome, thank you, Miles. And last but not least, we have Ralu. Would you like to go, Ralu?
Hello, my name is Ralu. I've been here since junior kindergarten. Some clubs I participate in. Oh yeah, I'm in 8th grade. Some clubs I participate in are Dungeons and Dragons Club, Math Club, Dodgeball Club, and the Avengers Fan Club.
Awesome. So thank you so much for those quick introductions, everyone. So a lot of our audience members and our attendees actually submitted questions while they were registering for this event. So I'm going to actually try to tackle those questions first. And let's see who I will pick up first this evening. Ralu, since you did your introduction last, I'm going to pick on you first this evening. How would you say you're supported academically at Latin? Maybe can you speak a little bit about the teacher and student relationships?
Yes, I actually feel teacher and student relationships are very, very beneficial for me and for the rest of my peers. Actually, just today, I went to a special kind of writing help center that kids go to if they need help with any sort of writing assignment. you're paired off with a high schooler and you work on writing together. I was working on my Visionette project for the house on Mango Street.
Very cool. That sounds really exciting. Thank you for sharing that. Does anyone else want to chime in with another student support service that you've recently encountered? I know he gave a great answer, but feel free to chime in. Yeah, go ahead. Mhm.
Well, like
Me or Avery? Avery, you can go.
you can go. It's okay.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say also and add on that teachers really do make themselves as available as they can before and after school, so that if you have any questions, you can meet with them. And it really makes it easy so that if you're having trouble on an assignment or struggling with something, you can easily like get a chance to meet with them and clear that up.
Great, thank you. So another question we had from registration, I know many of you actually participate in sports. Can you tell us a little bit more about the sports options in middle school, maybe a little bit about what the practices, the games, and just kind of what it's like to be on a sports team at Latin? Maybe Avery, you can take this one since you're a volleyball player.
So I am on the Latin volleyball team, and the athletic teams at Latin really value sportsmanship and teamwork, and it's really fun to be a part of a team outside of our usual classes. There are many sports throughout the entire school year. The fall sports are boys soccer, girls field hockey, cross country, and girls volleyball. In winter, there's basketball and boys basketball, and in the spring, there's girls soccer, baseball, and softball. And I believe there's also water polo. I might have missed a few sports, but there are a lot of teams to choose from. Games are really fun. You always get to be there with your team, and I feel like being a part of a team at Latin, I feel like I've gotten, all my teammates have my back, and I feel very supported by that. And also practices, it is advised to go to as many practices as you can, but if you have to miss, that's okay. We cover all the basics, and sport, we welcome you with open.
Awesome. Thank you, Avery. Yeah, I think you got everything down there. You answered every single question. So thank you so much. And Miles, I know you play soccer. Is there anything you want to add to Avery's?
Yeah. Yeah, soccer is really fun. Like Avery said, your teammates really have your back. And the nice thing about, playing games is that you can travel all around the city. And Chicago is a really diverse but also segregated city. So it's nice to be able to go into other neighborhoods and see other people out there and understand like other cultures instead of just staying in like one place.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm wondering, Allegra, if I can go to you, can you tell us a little bit more about the advisory program at Latin?
Yes, so for the advisory program, how it's been in past years is that I'll have one like homeroom teacher who is the homeroom teacher for me and like 10-ish other students, and we get to meet every morning for homeroom and at the end of the day. And then sometimes, usually I think we haven't been doing it the past years because of COVID and stuff to keep like good numbers of people in the rooms and stuff. But usually we'd have another homeroom who's also with us. So then we get to like talk with other students and be with that teacher too. And sometimes during the mornings, like when we have extra time, sometimes we get scheduled these like games and stuff that we do with our homerooms, and we compete with our homerooms. Like I remember one year we did Pictionary, and that was really fun. I was very bad at it, but it was really fun. So it's definitely great, especially to like be able to talk to the teachers and just have like a connection that goes beyond just like class.
That was awesome. That was a great explanation. Thank you so much, Allegra. Now, I know all of you are lifers, meaning you all joined in JK at Latin, right? So you know quite a bit about our community, but I'm wondering, and I'm gonna ask you, Ralu, to go first here. I'm wondering how, for students who may be applying for middle school and they're going to be new, how do you and your peers really bond and connect with these new students who come into middle school? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, actually, my best friend wasn't a lifer. He joined, I think, the start of 7th grade. That was a tough year, but I made sure that he felt included. He didn't feel left out, and he felt included, and he felt that he could be a part of everything. We as Latin are a very tight-knit community, and some, like, if your child joins after, they won't be left out, because we got 3 new kids. There's a couple new kids that came in this year. I'm already great friends with them. So I feel that the experience is it's very good, because of how everyone's just so tight knit. It's a tight knit community, and we're always getting new people in.
Awesome. Thank you, Ralu. Really appreciate that answer. Let's see. Let's take it back to Miles. Miles, I'm going to pick on you here. What has been one of your favorite classes at Latin so far?
I'm really big into animals. So I'd probably say science. I really liked 6th grade science because that was basically all about animals. But the diversity like with Latin's subjects, and now we're talking about science, is incredible. There's a lot of different subjects that you can go through throughout science. You're not just doing the same project or studying the same thing. And most importantly, throughout the year, it changes a lot. So you can go from very different things, but still have a slight connection between them to understand how everything fits together.
That's great. And let's see, Avery, I would love to hear what one of your favorite classes has been at Latin too.
I'm very interested in all subjects, but I think one that really stood out to me is the arts program, because I'm right now in the art cycle. So I chose to take visual arts, dance, and drama this year. And I feel like there are so many ways that you can be creative and work with your peers, but also like it's very independent, but at the same time, very like teamwork. And it's very fun, and it's really rewarding when you can see what you've made or what you've performed. And I just feel like it's one of my favorite classes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for your input there. Let's see, we've heard a little bit about all the amazing activities you all do so far, but I think it was mentioned early in the presentation about Project Week, which I know is a really pivotal experience being a Latin learner. So I'm going to take it to Allegra this time if you want to lead us off, but I'm wondering if you could just tell us a little bit more about what Project Week is. And I know the pandemic, right, has taken away some opportunities there probably, but wondering what your experience with it has been thus far.
So I know Project Week, the high school is a little different, but in the middle school, what we've done is during that week, we get to like take a trip to somewhere else, and it's really fun. Last year, I didn't get to go because of COVID, but I know it was Springfield that we were going to go to. And this year I'm really excited because we're going to go to DC. And I know that each of the teachers have planned like places that they want to take us in DC to like still teach us about different things. And I'm really excited in DC too, just like for the memories that I'm going to make, because I know that in past years, like when we went to Laredo Taft and spent a lot of time outdoors in nature, I got to learn a lot, but also make a lot of good memories with my friends. And it was so fun. So I really think that's a great, unique thing about Latin, that we get to have Project Week and go somewhere else for a change and still learn and just make so many long-lasting memories. It is so fun.
That's awesome. And I'm seeing your peers nod their heads there as well. So that's great to hear. But we will move on to another question. Earlier in our presentation, we also talked about community engagement opportunities. So I'm just wondering, so far, what sort of community engagement opportunities have been available to you? What are some that have seemed interesting to you? I'll have Ralu lead us off there if you'd like.
Well, community engagement opportunities have been very, very, very good. Usually, last year we every month or so, I think every 8-day cycle, we packed lunches for homeless using a very nice program called Night Ministry. We also have community days where we go out to different places, such as Bernie's Books or Beach Cleanup, where we contribute back to our community and give back like books. We clean up the beaches, we mulch the parks, we do all kinds of different kinds of community service. So it's a very good way to connect with the community.
Awesome. That sounds great. Another sort of academic related question, however, like when you guys introduced yourselves, told us your favorite classes, clearly you all have very different academic interests. You all have very different extracurricular interests as well. So just wondering how, as students, do you feel like there's a balance between STEM, arts, humanities, your sports? How do you feel like Latin helps you balance all those different interests and activities? Avery, I'm going to pick on you here if you'd like to go first.
So I feel like there's a really good balance in between like athletics and academics. And I feel like the block schedule really helps us with that, having a block for everything. And some days we don't have that class, but some days we do. I feel like that really helps even out our learning and our activities. Outside of school, there are many options for different athletic or academic opportunities. And I feel like those also can help. If you want to do more sports, you can join an athletics team, or more academics. There's always, I know there's usually always extra math you could do, or the hub's always open for those who want more to reading or writing. I feel like you have the opportunity to choose your what you want to prioritize, and I feel like that's really great.
That's awesome. Thank you. Miles, I saw you were nodding your head a bit there. Is there anything you want to add to what Avery said? But no pressure if you don't.
Yeah. The block schedule, I think, works out really well. It's pretty complicated at first. For me as a fifth grader, it was kind of hard to understand. But within a few weeks, you really get the hang of it. And it's a really smart schedule. It works efficiently, and there are lots of patterns in it that make sense. For example, like you only have 6 classes, but you have 8. You only have 6 classes a day, but you have 8 classes in general. So at the beginning of the next day, you have the 2 classes that you didn't have that day. And that allows so you don't have the same classes every single day. And the block schedule also allows the classes to be mixed up in completely different orders every single day of the 8-day cycle. So that allows you to just make sure you have classes at different times. And sometimes you get a break from a class and then you can start it up the next day.
Awesome. Thank you for adding that on. Our next question, I'm sure a student actually submitted. They're looking to learn a little bit more about what is the food like at Latin, right? What sort of happens at lunch? What if someone has allergies? Does Latin help out with that? Allegra, I would love for you to lead this question off for us.
All right, so I think Latin's food is very good, and we have lots of options for what we want to eat. And in previous years before COVID, like there's also a salad bar and a yogurt bar, and you can get a sandwich or like the main meal that's going on. And it definitely gives you a lot of choices for what you want to eat. And for people who are vegetarian or something, they also have options for them. There's always an option without meat. And if you have any like dietary restrictions or allergies, there's also always an option accessible that is still just as delicious for you to be able to have.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And to finish off our panel, actually, I think this is the perfect question. I'm going to ask actually each of you to answer very quickly. I'm going to ask, what's your favorite thing about Latin? Why do you love Latin so much? So this time we'll go in reverse order. So Ralu, would you like to start us off with that?
Well, something that I really like about Latin is that my friends, we have a great community. We have great people that are coming in. We have all kinds of people coming here. And we got kind of people like Allegra and Avery that are fun to hang out with. And I also like Miles, because Miles knows everything about nature. These people are, they're kind of like family, And I think that's a very good thing when you're having an education. You have to be acquainted with the kind of people that you want to learn about. But
Absolutely. I'm glad you enjoy your peers, Ralu. That's great to hear. Next, Miles, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. I love the teachers too, and the students too. I also love the teachers. The teachers at Latin are really kind, and they're always helping you out. And they really, really try hard to make themselves like very open and like available for you. And they understand how they all have a lot of experience to understand that if you're really shy, they come and help you instead of making you come and answer to them. And they also call on, like, I participate a lot in class. So they also call on me a lot, which I appreciate.
That's awesome. Thanks, Miles. Avery.
I also love our community so much. I feel like since I've been here since JK, I've bonded a lot with my peers, and everyone's very welcoming and kind to one another. Even some people may have like best friends, but they're always there for you, even if you're not super close with them. Our teachers are so kind, and I love how we are pushed to talk to them. Like, even if you're shy, they're still there for you. You can always go to them if you have any problems in or outside of school. I also love how much we get to choose what we want to learn. There's always an option, like for languages and arts and athletics. There's always something that, like, if you're really passionate about something, you can always pursue it.
That's awesome. Thanks, Avery. And last but not least, Allegra.
So I definitely agree with what everyone said about how strong like the community is and the bonds are at Latin, like that you make with people. But also I feel that at Latin, I've never really wanted to reach for something that there isn't an option for me to have or be able to pursue or learn more about. If I want to do more sports, there's more sports. If I want to do more activities after school or before school, there's like an option for that too. If I want to learn a language, there are so many options for languages. There are just so many options at your fingertips. And there's nothing where you're like, oh, there's not enough STEM classes or there's not enough arts things for me to do. There's so much. So you're never grasping for something that isn't within your reach.
Well said, well said. So the perfect timing, this really wraps up our panel for this evening. So Allegra, Avery, Miles, Ralu, I really, really want to thank you. I'm sure everyone's giving you a virtual applause right now, right? You are what makes our community. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your evening. So get back to that homework or TV, whatever you're doing. But feel free to turn your cameras off now and mute yourself again. And we'll see you all at school tomorrow. All righty, everyone. And last but not least, we're going to have some closing remarks. I'm going to share my screen again with you all. We're going to hear from Mark Copestake, our Director of Enrollment Management and Financial Aid.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. And thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm just going to take a few moments now to share a little bit more information about the application process to Latin's middle school. At Latin, the main entry point to our middle school is 5th grade, unlike a lot of schools where it's 6th grade. Additionally, we also enroll students into 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. We only enroll small numbers of students into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, perhaps only 2 to 3 students per year, but the main entry point, 5th grade, we enroll about 10 students. The application process for 2022 entry is now open. So the first step in the process, if you are interested in applying, is to complete our online application form. And you have until November 5th to complete that form. The next step would then be to submit all of the supporting documentation by January 5th. That supporting documentation includes transcripts or report cards from the last couple of years, as well as any standardized testing that you may have for your child. We also require 3 recommendations, one from the current math teacher, one from the current English teacher, and a recommendation from a principal or counsellor. At Latin, we also use a test called the ISEE, which stands for the Independent School Entrance Exam, and we must receive results of that test by January 5th as well. The good news is that Latin is actually a test site for the ISEE, so if you wish to take the test at Latin, that is an option for you. You also must complete a family interview by January 5th as well. Now, normally our interviews are solely in person, where we meet with the child as well as the family. Whereas this year, our interviews will also be, you'll have the option to select a virtual interview. You must, however, submit an application before scheduling an interview. My colleague Ibrahim Fatuga, who is another member of our enrollment management team, is sharing links to a lot of this information in the chat with you right now. So please click on those links later and you'll be able to find out a lot more information. I just want to take a few moments to talk a little bit about financial aid at Latin. Every year we award over $4.5 million in financial aid to about 13% of the student body. There's a lot more information about financial aid and how to apply for it on the tuition and financial aid pages of our website. The financial aid application would also be due by January 5th if you decided to apply for financial aid. Now, we released decisions for admissions in March, actually March 4th, 2022. Now, unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, we are currently unable to host shadow days, but we are hopeful that by the time spring rolls around, we will be able to host in-person welcome events for accepted middle school students and their families, and the date provisionally scheduled for that is March 9th. All of this information which I've just shared with you is all available on the admissions pages of our website. So if you haven't already, I would encourage you to take a look at that at latinschool.org. On the website, you'll also find electronic versions of our view book and the middle school curriculum map, which contain a lot of information about our program. The Enrollment Management Office is happy to work with families for whom Spanish is their primary language. Stephanie.
Sure. También estamos felices de trabajar con familias en español durante todo el proceso. Por favor, contáctanos en admissions@latinschool.org si tiene alguna pregunta adicional. Gracias.
Thank you, Stephanie. And Stephanie is one of 2 fluent Spanish speakers in our office, along with my colleague Jovita Monares. If at any point you have any questions about the admissions process, you can also reach out to us at our admissions email, which is admissions@latinschool.org. The recording of this webinar will be made available on our website within the next few days. For those interested, we will be hosting a virtual open house this Thursday evening, October 14th, as well as an event for prospective families of colour on Monday, October 18th. We ask that you register for both of these events on our website if you're interested. Now that just leaves me to give a few thank yous. Big thank you to Randall Dunn, our head of school, Deb Sampy, our middle school director, to all of the middle school faculty who spoke about their departments tonight, and most importantly, to our 4 amazing middle school students who, as I'm sure you will agree, were such great representations of our middle school, and that was all completely unscripted. That's just them talking about their experience. I also want to thank all of you for taking the time this evening to learn a little more about Latin's program and application process. We hope that you will consider submitting an application, and we hope to meet you soon at one of your upcoming interviews. Thank you again to everyone and have a great evening.